We welcome you all in our sixth MedRiSSE webinar series, which An-Najah National University is organizing in partnership with MedRiSSE project partners. This webinar will target the roadmaps which assist within the project to replicate the SSE good practices in the Mediterranean region. We will start the webinar by a welcoming speech from Dr. Ahmad Break, the project manager in Palestine, in An-Najah National University. Sorry. Okay, Dr. Ahmad.
Thank you, Fadia. Good morning, everybody. It's our pleasure to invite you to join our learning webinar for presenting the elaborated roadmaps to replicate SSE good practices in our Mediterranean countries. As mentioned in the invitation, during this webinar, you will know more about details about what are the replicated roadmaps and what is their targeted audience, and of course, where you can access these 5 roadmaps. I hope it will be a useful webinar for us, and looking forward to welcome all participants and speakers on this webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. And now Dr. Samah Saleh will start by a small introduction about this webinar. Dr. Samah.
So good morning, everybody, or good afternoon for some of you. Today, we are going to go through the MedRiSSE project and to learn more about it through the different roadmaps around each project, and maybe we can learn somehow the capitalized project within MedRiSSE. And we can learn more about the best practices, the different approach that these different projects have within them. So not to give you like all these details around it, I think the presenter will tell us more about it. But we will go first of all for a short description of MedRiSSE project with Georgia, and then we will move on to the next step. Go ahead, Georgia. You are welcome.
Hello, good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank An-Najah University in ARCO from the University of Florence for organizing this event and working with us and our communication officer. I'm Georgia Caravaghelli, the project coordinator on behalf of the lead beneficiary, that is Asamblea de Cooperación por la Paz, a Spanish NGO, that we work, among other things, on the promotion of the principles of social solidarity economy in the Mediterranean region. I would very briefly give you some information about the MedRiSSE project, because most of you have participated in previous webinars, or you are already partners of the project. And also we will put on the chat some links about the website of the project and the social media where you can find more information and follow us. So very briefly, MedRiSSE is a cooperation project that is funded by the European Union through the European Instrument, Neighborhood Instrument, under the framework of the Mediterranean Cooperation Program. It involves 8 partners from 5 Mediterranean countries, Spain, Italy, Palestine, Jordan, and Tunisia, with an estimated duration of 2 years and a total budget of 1,100,000 euros for all the partners. MedRiSSE is a capitalization project. That means that it is an alliance, a cooperation between 5 different projects that were financed in the past through the European Neighbourhood Instrument, and have as a main target, let's say, to promote co-production initiatives, social innovation initiatives, the principles of social solidarity economy, and also training courses on how to develop a social enterprise and how to access finance for social entrepreneurs. And as a capitalization project, its main target is to collect and disseminate all the knowledge gained by these 5 Mediterranean projects, which are MedTOWN, More Than a Job, RUWOMED, MedUP, and CITES. You can find information on the website, more information in each for each one of these projects. Within the implementation of the project, in order to share and disseminate all this knowledge and material, we have developed some digital tools, a Wikipedia, where you can find all the material that we shared among us and developed and improved under the MedRiSSE project, and also a Mediterranean co-production lab that is under development, and a community of practice, a platform where you can find also all the learning courses that we are currently uploaded to the platform, and you can stay connected with all the people that are involved in the project. I will not say more, because today it's a celebration for us, because we will present 5 roadmaps that have been developed by ARCO, that have as a main target to show you the way or how you can replicate some good practices of supporting SSE initiatives in the Mediterranean that we have identified in each one of the projects that we are capitalizing. So I give the floor to Sama to continue with it.
Thank you, Georgia, for this insight about the MedRiSSE project. And I think not to go for long, we will go directly to Camilla from ARCO to present to us this interesting 5 roadmaps. And it's opportunity for all of us to learn about the different approaches and the methods that each project was focusing on. And the floor is yours, Camilla.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can you please confirm that you can see my screen? Okay,
yes, we
perfect.
Can.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, ANNU, for organizing and for hosting this meeting, and to all participants for being here today. My name is Camilla Guasti. I'm from ARCO Action and Research for Co-Development Research Center. Before I start with my presentation, allow me to briefly explain what is ARCO to those of you who don't know us. So we are a research center. We are based in Prato, a little town near Florence, Italy. We are a university center, which was founded in 2008. And we offer research, qualified consulting and training services in different fields, let's say, of the sustainable human development. And we have a very multidisciplinary team, and we operate both at international level as well as the Italian level. We also support the UNO Social Business Center, University of Florence, which is in fact the first Italian center accredited by the Yunus Center in Dhaka, Bangladesh, which was founded by the Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus, which I'm sure many of you know about. So basically what we do, we provide scientific and operational support to different kind of organizations, and we offer in practice research, qualified consultancy and training services. This is just to give you an idea of where we work and how many projects we deal with. And these are our 5 different units, which we have within our research center. But of course, we do work much in synergy one another. So I'm from the social economy unit of ARCO Research Center, but we also have a team working on the inclusive development, another one working on local development, another one in circular innovation and sustainable commodities. And finally, we have a unit which is very transversal, working on monitoring and evaluation and impact evaluation. So allow me to start with my presentation. As Georgia anticipated, this work that we conducted is one part, a little piece, let's say, of the MedRiSSE project, which of course entails many other activities and important actions that the other partners are carrying forward. So allow me to anticipate that, of course, I'll try my best to stay within the time frame that we have. So in order to really understand the work that we've done, we of course invite participants to actually read the roadmaps. But what we're going to do today is to trying to give you an idea of what the work, what is the work that we've done, so the criteria that we've used, and then go briefly to explain what are the 5 good practices that we've assessed. So basically, our work started since the very beginning of the project, and we conducted a replicability assessment on 5 good practices, one for each project that is being capitalized thanks to the MedRiSSE project. So up to now, what we've done are 5 roadmaps, one for each good practice that we've assessed, 1 replication toolkit, and then in the end, I'll anticipate what our next output will be. So basically, as you can see in this little graph in the slide, these are the 5 projects that are being capitalized. So MedTOWN, MedUP, RUWOMED, Consume Palestine, iESS project, and More Than a Job. Why did we conduct this work? Well, the main aim and idea is to hopefully provide useful documents for people outside of the project. For example, policymakers, SSE practitioners, or public servants, so that they can learn from interesting examples of good practices of social and solidarity economy, as well as social innovation, and most importantly, public-private co-production approach. So basically, the roadmaps are structured in a way to provide as practical as possible guidance and key information for readers that might be inspired by, or even to be more informed on how to replicate such initiatives in other contexts and territories. So as I mentioned, we conducted a replicability assessment, which means that we've built an evaluation framework, and we drew information from both desk review of project documents and materials that partners kindly provided us, as well as primary data that we collected throughout, let's say, this first time of the project. So mainly semi-structured interviews with key informants for each of the projects that we have been capitalizing. So just to anticipate how the roadmaps are structured when you open the documents, basically each roadmap is structured identically and have the key following sections. So we have a first part that will present the good practice. So we'll tell you about how the good practice originated, which is the context through which it was put in practice, which were the triggering factors, the main objectives, what are the core features, why isn't the practice innovative, and what is the value added, basically. After that, we built a theory of change. Basically, it's a schematic overview of how the inputs, actions, outputs, and outcomes and impacts of the good practices are related. And this was built, again, through the desk research, as well as the interviews and all the data and information we collected. Then basically another section structures the process. So it tells you about how did the whole process of, you know, implementing the good practice went about, starting from the phase 0, what we call the triggering factors. So why was this good practice basically thought of, ideated, and then the planning phase, the implementation phase, and finally a sustainability phase. And for each, we highlight which were the key actors, which were the key resources, and which were the key activities that were undertaken. After that, you will find a section called Key Contextual Determinants, because in compliancy with our evaluation framework, we do acknowledge the importance of always considering the importance of the context where you replicate good practices. We can, in this work, we try to extrapolate, let's say, the main processes, the main ingredients, but we always stress the fact that it's important to consider contextual factors before considering replicating a good practice, of course. So in this section, we try to identify which were the key ingredients, let's say, that should be in place in a given context, whatever the context is, and spacing from social and cultural context, the political or institutional and legal frameworks, and other dimensions. Finally, you'll have you'll find a section called main risks, because of course, it's very important to learn and to capitalize on the experiences that were already undertaken. So this means learning also from mistakes or from risks, some challenges. So we made sure to also capture the challenges that were faced or that can arise if replicating this good practice. And for each risk, we also try to identify mitigation strategies, either to prevent such risk or to cope with these challenges should they arise. Now, we also, as I mentioned, we also elaborated a toolkit for replicability, which is basically our attempt to systematize the work that we've done in a consolidated document. So basically, the toolkit is a report which opens with a methodological section, which explains more in detail the evaluation framework that we evaluated and the overall methodology that we've followed, and then the 5 roadmaps together. So basically, in also to favor a dissemination, we built both the roadmaps separately for an easy dissemination communication, as well as a consolidated document. Now, I would like to go, let's say, briefly on the 5 good practices that we've assessed, just to give you an idea of what the good practices are about. After that, we'll have intervention from ACPP, and then we'll open the floor for any questions and answers. Of course, ANNU, please interrupt me if you need translation at any point, but I don't think the Arabic will be a issue now. I'm not sure of who are the participants because I can't see the control, but please interrupt me if you feel you need to translate, okay? So let's move and start with the first good practice, which is from progress from the iESS project, which was conducted in 2014-2018 in Tunisia. Basically, we've assessed the CITES model. The CITES model is a collaborative, let's say, territorial platform, which pulls together and of course catalyzes all the available and existing public, private, civil society actors, as well as all the resources, as well as the initiatives. And the aim is to, in fact, offer a one-stop shop directly at the service for entrepreneurs and social solidarity economy actors, sort of more integrated and comprehensive support. So basically, this is a graph that we extrapolated from the roadmap that we've elaborated to briefly explain how it works. So at the left-hand side, you have a social solidarity economy actor or entrepreneur, which reaches out to the CITES pool, which in turn is capable of mobilizing and leveraging either key actors and resources from both the private sector, this meaning incubators, or social enterprise super organizations, or donors, financial institutions, etc. But also from the public sector. This means mobilizing the local authorities, the ministry, international donors, let's say, that are already engaged in providing support services for social entrepreneurship actors. And civil society, of course, so NGOs and association, as well as academia. So basically the idea is, thanks to the poll, we can leverage all these amazing and rich pool of actors and resources and initiatives at the territorial level, so that in turn, the poll is able to offer to the entrepreneurs information and orientation on social and solidarity economy initiatives and support services, or any existing funding and investment opportunities, or to match them with existing incubation or coaching and consultancy initiatives, capacity building and trainings, or even to offer services such as co-creation and implementation of projects and initiatives concerning the social and solidarity economy and entrepreneurship in general, as well as offering to entrepreneurs visibility. So this might help them attract potential investors, funders, customers, and supporters. So this CITES model was piloted in Mahdia, Tunisia. But of course, we turned to the roadmap to gather as much as information as possible concerning all the sections that I've highlighted before. Moving to RUWOMED, Consume Palestine. So this strategy, this Consume Palestine strategy, which is public-private collaboration for comprehensive support to rural value chains and women empowerment. Let's say it's a strategy which is the result of multiple projects that were conducted in Palestine, starting from RUWOMED project, but also from different, let's say, GDA projects that were carried. So basically, we start in 2000. This strategy backs from 2012 up to nowadays. So what is this strategy about? The good practice involves an integrated and comprehensive support to rural value chain. At the core of the strategy is acting through the social and economic empowerment of women, targeted women, in particular women cooperatives. So basically, and also a core element here of the strategy is the close collaboration, which the strategy puts at the center with the public sectors and governmental organizations, as well as all their other sectors such as universities and CSOs. So again, we asked the support of the graph to explain in brief what is the strategy about. Basically, the Consume Palestine strategy, as you can see from the graph, intervenes both on the supply side and on the demand side of the value chain, and provides both hard interventions and soft interventions. So first and for all, the strategy entails a tailored capacity building for women cooperatives, so that it provides these women with core capacities in concerning business management, accounting, marketing, but also high quality and safe production processes, as well as foreign quality standards and fair trade and labor rights. But also, as I mentioned, it provides these women cooperatives with more hard type of intervention. So it provided them with production inputs such as machinery or equipment. It also helped firsthand the women in acquiring product certifications. So to make sure that the products that they were producing or selling were compliant with national or even international standards. They also provided first-hand support to make sure that these cooperatives could legally register. Moreover, this was quite successful. They managed to create a Consume Palestine seal that these targeted cooperatives can use in order to improve also the image in the markets. And also they offered these women cooperatives first-hand support to export their products. In terms of how the strategy supported the demand side, through these different editions, let's say, of the projects, the strategy perfectioned an awareness campaign strategy called, of course, Consume Local, Consume Palestine, in order to improve the image of Palestinian cooperatives' rural products, and also to, let's say, increase the solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Also, in terms of the demand side, the strategy helped these women cooperatives in placing their products in the market. So this means creating marketing spots or helping them being present in promotional exhibitions and in local fairs, so on and so forth. Moving to More Than a Job project. So More Than a Job is one, of course, another project that's being capitalized within the MedRiSSE project and implemented in Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, Italy, and Greece, still ongoing, and started in 2019. So what did we focus on concerning the More Than a Job project? We assessed the More Than a Job subgrant mechanism, which is an interesting mechanism to incentivize social and solidarity economy actors and public institutions, especially local authorities, to work together to provide support services tackling unemployment. So basically, the subgrant design provides funding to all those projects that are carried out by SSE actors together with local authorities, especially public administrations, to implement and provide support services for vulnerable groups, of course, such as migrants, refugees, etc. And the ultimate aim is to increase the opportunities for social and labor inclusion. So again, on the right-hand side, you can see a schematic overview of how the process of creating this subgrant mechanism went about. So basically, the project started off with desk and evidence-based research on international and national social and solidarity economy best practices. So this is interesting because the design was informed of prior research on what was already functioning out there, both nationally and internationally, as well as, in-depth national socioeconomic context. So basically, thanks to this preliminary research, they built a theoretical framework of social and solidarity economy schemes, which also informed the training program, which was targeting both SSE actors as well as public administrations, but also, and this is more importantly for our purpose, informed the design of the subgrant mechanism. So this mechanism basically incentivizes SSE actors and public administrations. But the interesting part is it's in order to be funded, these cooperation projects tackling unemployment had to entail the signing of a memorandum of understanding between SSE actors and public administration to provide, to implement the projects, so the support services. And also these, finally, these cooperation projects were also uploaded on an online portal to also, again, disseminate and to increase the visibility of such successful co-production initiatives. Moving forward to MedUP project. So MedUP is another project capitalized within the framework of the MedRiSSE project. And it was implemented in Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and Palestine, and which started off in 2018 and concluded last summer. Basically, what we've assessed within the framework of this project, which of course it's a huge project and multi-country, but we've focused on one particular, let's say, good practice that was designed and piloted within the MedUP project, which is the peer-to-grow, coach-to-grow capacity building strategy. So basically, we're talking about a capacity building strategy which supports social enterprises in elaborating medium to long-term business growth and scale-up strategies. But the interesting feature of this strategy, it's how these social enterprises were supported in order to reach this goal. So the strategy, let's say, learned from the project implementation that in general terms, social enterprises benefit mostly from individual and tailored capacity building strategy instead of standardized group training. So this was learning number one. Learning number two from the project is that in order to have a greater impact, let's say, of a support strategy, it's important to make actors from different ecosystem level to work together. So this is why the strategy gave first an important and primary role to the social support social enterprise support organizations, also called CSO. So basically, the strategy is a triangulated capacity building program where you have pairs, so social enterprises paired with CSOs, for the latter to provide capacity building and to help SEs to elaborate these growth plans. In turn, support organizations were also backed and coached by international coaches. And basically, as you can see from the graph, you have, as I mentioned, a triangulated support program. So again, third-party coaches support CSOs through bilateral coaching and support. CSOs in turn provide tailored direct coaching and support services to SEs so that they could elaborate growth plans. The last and a more interesting core feature is that at the end of this 3-month support program, SEs were asked to pitch their growth plans in front of an international and multi-sector audience through, of course, an important networking and pitching event, which the program organized. And this had the ultimate aim to actually connect CSOs with other key actors of the ecosystem. So funding institutions, investors, and so on. So basically, the important thing is here how the strategy supported the social enterprise ecosystem by making actors themselves the protagonists of the support program. Moving on to MedTOWN. MedTOWN project is again another project that is being capitalized by the MedRiSSE project and implemented in Spain, Greece, Palestine, Jordan, Tunisia, and Portugal, starting in 2019 and still ongoing. So what is it that we've assessed as a good practice? We've analyzed in depth the local and digital complementary currency model, which was piloted through MedTOWN in the Cerro Amate district in Sevilla, Spain, which is basically a digital and complementary currency model to improve the local public services through a public-private co-production approach. So the targets were low-income citizens that were benefiting from cash assistance programs. And the innovative practice here is the scheme that was elaborated, which consisted of a digital payment solution adopted by the public administration, and which allowed to channel the public expenditures instead of being directly provided to low-income citizens, channeled through this digital payment solution in the form of electronic money. So basically this electronic money, it's used to purchase goods and services in local shops and businesses in the local Cerro Amate, adhering to the initiative. And the idea backing this initiative is the higher the recirculation of this electronic money, the greater the potential direct and indirect advantages and social impact for the local community as a whole. So basically, this is a very schematic overview of how the system works. So basically, as I mentioned, the recipients of the public cash assistance program, they need to voluntarily adhere to the local currency initiative. So they're required to open an account through their app, so a digital device. So they first, of course, receive a training on how to use this digital payment system. Then they receive directly in their devices the equivalent of their cash assistance amount, but in the form, of course, in digital currency. So at that point, they can spend the digital currency within the local shops and businesses, which, as I mentioned, adhere voluntarily to the program. And basically how the verification works, both the seller and the beneficiaries have to take a picture of their receipt, upload it through the digital device. This is how the expenditures, the verification expenditure takes place. And as I mentioned, so the idea is to make this digital currency recirculate within the local community. So basically, even private citizens can adhere to the initiative and use and convert their euros, let's say, in local currency to purchase goods and services adhering to in local shops adhering to the initiative. So this is in very brief terms how the initiative and how the good practice works. So, of course, we'll have a moment for question and answers. We also like to anticipate that we are currently working in the elaboration of 6 learning videos to support the dissemination of these 5 roadmaps and the good practices. And so we'll have 1 for each roadmap and 1 additional explaining our work and the toolkit. So, before some of you might ask, where can you access all these materials? Well, thanks to the MedRiSSE project, we have an amazing platform for this, which is the community of practice. So I'll kindly ask Iban to showcase to participants how they can access this community of practice, what it is, how does it work? And then I think we can leave the floor to ANNU again for a question and answer moment, and also we have some questions for participants in the end. So I thank you for your attention till now, and I'll be happy to answer your questions after Iban. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilla, for this interesting and intensive information for all of us to learn about this 5 capitalized project. I just want to say that someone asked for Arabic translation. I didn't see it before, but I just put a short notes in Arabic in the chat so that can give some ideas for people. I'm just gonna see it in Arabic. في ناس طلبوا إنه نترجم اللقاء كامل، بس صراحة أنا ما انتبهتش من الأول، بس إنه حطيت تلخيص كتير صغير عن آخر 2 مشروعين هي حكت عنهم، فممكن إنه تطلعوا عليهم. بس بشكل عام كان النقاش والحوار لعرض مجموعة من المشاريع اللي هي مشاركة بمشروع الميدرايس، وكل مشروع فيهم اختارت الممارسة الأفضل لهذا المشروع، وكانت بتحكي عن التطورات أو طريقة عمل كل خطوة من الخطوات. في مشروع يعني ركز على فكرة التشارك ما بين المؤسسات الحكومية والمؤسسات العاملة في مجال الاقتصاد التضامني. في كانت بتحكي كمان عن موضوع تدوير العملة الرقمية. كمان كان في عنا يعني كل مشروع من هدول المشاريع كان في زي شو خطة العمل تبعته وكيف فاعلية خطة العمل بشكل عام للمشروع اللي انذكر. فيمكن هيك بشكل كتير مختصر، وأكيد هو مش وافي بالعربي كيف لازم نحكيه، بس إنه ممكن إنه نلخص اللقاء اليوم ونحط لكم إياه إذا كان في عند أي حدا رغبة إنه يشوفه بالعربي. So I was thinking while you are presenting, if you allow me to start by this kind of idea or just to share a thought, while you were presenting the best practice for each project from the 5 partners or 5 capitalized projects, can you tell us more about the relation between these best practices and if you find a commonality between the different projects and how you come up to choose this specific practice from each project?
Yes, of course. Before I answer, would you like to leave Iban's demonstration of how to access the roadmaps at a later
sorry,
stage?
Iban, I didn't notice. Yes, of course.
Okay, I'll keep my answer for in a second. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't worry, I'm trying to be very quickly in this showcase presentation of the former community of practice, and now it's the Mediterranean Lab for Co-Production of Social Innovation. I will be sharing my screen. Can you see it? Okay.
Yes, Ivan.
Great. So this is the portal. There is the link in the chat room, so you can access. And here, as you can see, this is the main portrait where you can register here in the top right here. So this is the former community of practice, the current Mediterranean Lab, and it's the space where participants can meet other stakeholders, other people interested in social innovation projects, in social solidarity economy, and also access to e-learning module courses and interact with other participants. I will be sharing this right now. Once you register, this is the form that you need to complete, and once you log it, now you will access here. Okay, so I will be showing some features of our community, of our platform. First of all, once you are logged in, you can access, for example, to the it takes a bit to load. Okay, now you should be looking my profile. So, well, first of all, you need to complete your profile, put your interested, your work position, your organization, and you can interact in this community. As you can see, it's if you are familiar with Facebook, it's alike. So You can post things, you can access to other information, and especially you can access to groups that you are more interested. For example, I will be showing the main groups that it's available to be part of. For example, MedRiSSE, different trainings. Okay, you can ask for joining the group and interact with other participants and be in contact and create new contact for your organization. Also, if another feature that we have is that we are now from MedRiSSE project, we're uploading some courses that you can be accessed, you can get a certification, and you can acquire new knowledge about some of the topics that you are looking at. So far, we are in the middle of uploading the first of them, but in the next 2 weeks at the top, you can access to 5 different courses. Also, here from about wiki, here you can access to the wiki of the project, where you can find all the information related to the partners, to the project, to the different 5 capital S projects. And as Julia was saying before, here you can access as well to the 5 replicability roadmaps. Here in the left bar, you can go to roadmaps and access to the explanation and each one of the 5 roadmaps. I will be open one in order to show you. Here, for example, this is the CTES model. So the platform is really intuitive, so it's very easy to be familiar with. So I encourage you, all of you, if you are not already a participant, to register and to participate with all of us. So thank you very much, and well, if you have any doubt, I'm here to help you.
Thank you, Ivan, for this insight. So Camilla.
Yes, thank you so much for your question concerning how we came up in identifying these good practices and what they have in common, if I correctly understood. So basically, concerning the first question, as it's explained in the methodological section of the toolkit, for those of you who are interested in more details, we've identified the good practices with partners, with partners from each project themselves. So basically, we've created, let's say, a template for data collection, which anticipated all the dimensions of the analysis that we were about to, that we would have analyzed. And which also had the second purpose of guiding partners in helping them to identify which could be considered good practices and suitable for such type of analysis, which ultimately means practices that could be replicated elsewhere. So this was a collective identification work done with partners themselves. In regards to what do these 5 good practices have in common, I could summarize in one word: collaboration. So each of the 5 good practices have at their core collaboration with multi-sector actors, which mainly consisted of public and private, not only actors, that together and joining forces were able to test and pilot such innovative practices, and which were considered as successful in these pilot implementations, and hopefully can be successful for future replications in different contexts. I hope this answers.
Yes, thank you so much. So now maybe it's good to open the floor for our audience, and if anyone have question or comment or want to clarify anything. So, yes. I think we had a question on the chat, but Georgia have answered it.
Yes. No, in fact, yes. Well, of course, we have the partners who implemented the good practices. So any in detailed questions, I invite them to answer directly. But of course, yes, they do not use a blockchain technology, but an open source software. But of course, for all details, please reach out to ACPP because they have ideated and implemented this local currency initiative. Thank you.
Okay, and maybe it's good to encourage people to ask or to contribute. Maybe it will be interesting if any of the 5 capitalized projects like to reflect on these roadmaps and maybe say something about what they are thinking about it. So I don't know who is ready to start. Georgia.
Well, I can thank you very much, Camila, for your presentation. I just would like to mention that introducing such a practice to a local public authority, like, for example, to channel financial aid through a local currency, whether it is digital or not, is something very challenging. And it needs a lot of trust between the organization that will work with the public administration to develop this initiative. Because public authorities find it very difficult to undertake some risks and distribute financial aid in a small group of local businesses. All the public authorities that we have collaborated in the past, for example, or we are presenting this model in new authorities. Initially, in the first meetings, they are very excited and they are willing to introduce this or to experiment with such a practice. But then when they go back to the municipality councils and when they go back and see the regulations of public procurement, the limitations on the collaboration, on the framework of the collaboration between public authorities and SSE actors, many times they are stepping back because they are afraid of the political risk that they may have. And this happened, for example, in our case, in Seville, we didn't manage to introduce the currency for the channeling of the financial aid. We had a collaboration agreement with the municipality of Seville. We developed all the tools and the agreements between the users and the provider. But at the end, we didn't manage to deploy the currency in Seville as we did in the past in other municipalities in Spain. So it is very important to build trust with the local public authority.
And do people like how people or like the people who are using it, how they know about it, and what is their response about digital coins? And
well, you need to invest a lot in information and awareness campaign. You need to go to the local shops to inform. First of all, you need to talk with the public authority and the technical people that are working in the technical committees, and then you need, of course, to talk individually with each local business and each beneficiary, and organize a lot of sessions of information on what are the benefits, why to participate in such initiative, and then introduce how it could work. And this requires a lot of time and a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm. I think we have another comment about the digital in the chat, which is about the Mediterranean area and the difficulties to access digital technology or voucher.
I think that, yes, here it says that we are in the Mediterranean area, and it seems that we do not take into account the difficulties in access to digital technology. In the MedTOWN project, we have done some research on the legal framework on using electronic money in the 6 Mediterranean countries that we will soon publish on our platform. And this also would be the basis for the innovation credit system that we would like to develop under the MedRiSSE project within the Mediterranean Co-Production Lab. So this type of issues we are going to deal in a later stage, because now, at the current moment, we are developing this Mediterranean lab. Our Palestinian partner is developing right now the lab, and we need to talk first with our partners about the terms of operation and the use of the innovation credit system. But yes, there are a lot of challenges, and there is a lot of work to be done with regards to that.
Okay, so we have 3 people who want to talk. So we'll start with Mr. Muhannad. If you introduce yourself and go ahead with your question or comment.
Good morning. Thanks for presentation. Good afternoon. Thanks for presentation. I'm Muhannad from private sector. I'm the CEO for Spark company. The difficult part is the managing the money. Digital currency in Pakistan, it's not allowed at all. And there is a high restriction on that one. Even if you buy a currency from your account, the bank will come and ask you, may block your account. But there is another way, I mean, to dealing with such things. There is, say, some another payment method, which we can, I mean, manage the distribution of money on that one. But as a currency, not allowed.
Thank you. So Camilla, and then we go to Tamadur.
Please allow Tamadur first. I'll
okay.
After her. Thank you.
Tamadur.
Yeah. I just have like a small comment regarding Marivia question. I think Georgia answered regarding the legal situation of the currency, but from logistic sides, I think it's for the app, it's very easy to use. It doesn't like require high technology requirements or devices. It's just you can use the instead of using the app, also you can use the QR, which is much easier for beneficiaries who are in, let's say, in vulnerable areas, who doesn't have access to technology or to internet sometimes. So the QR is here the alternative. So the technology is easy and it doesn't a lot of say logistics and devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamador. Camilla?
Yes, good thing Tamador anticipated me, because she actually anticipated also my intervention. Also, I want to thank you because all these questions that are arising, I'm very happy to say that we've also include answers and such difficulties in our roadmaps. In fact, what I personally found most interesting of the roadmaps is exactly the drawbacks and risks section, where we actually mapped all the possible challenges and risks that may arise, and all these are actually included. In fact, when we have a little small paragraph entitled "Dealing with Digital Divide." So this might be an issue not only in contextual terms, like for some countries where like such digital devices might be a problem, but also for certain targets, for example, elderly people that might have a digital divide issue. And in fact, as Tamador said, these good practices are not meant to be exactly replicated. The idea is to be inspired by the model and then adapt the model to all contexts. And as Tamador said, there are other low digital capital, let's say, solutions such as printed on QR codes on cards that people can actually use. So like we have a hard card that you can showcase and use. So you can find alternative solutions to deal with such issue that definitely might arise in different contexts or different targets. And also what Georgia said, so the challenges they faced, it was extremely important to understand the difficulties that they had, the political opposition that they faced. And this is also reflected in the roadmap. So how to avoid such political opposition that might arise, because when you deal with digital currency, you might have a lot of resistance, both culturally and also in terms of too much innovation for some bureaucratic procedures. And all this is reflected in the roadmap. So I'm very happy that all these inputs are actually already there, and I hope to gather more. So please advance any other questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comment? Maybe I can ask, now we talk about the difficulties of digital coins and all this kind of things, but can you say other difficulties that some of the projects that they face according to the roadmaps you have collected?
There are a lot for all the so I don't know
the common ones. Sorry, it's a very kind of wide question, but it's interesting to learn about it. Yes.
Okay, so there are really many that we've mapped. So, for example, let me think. So again, okay, let's leave MedTOWN because we already mentioned it. For example, MedUP in the capacity building strategy. For example, you might find CISOs that could lack some true commitment in supporting the SE's goals. In that case, we suggest opting for a very effective selection process, or also making sure that the matching phase is done by the targeted actors themselves. So not imposing the matching between SEs and CISOs, but making them somehow participate in the matching phase. And also to make sure you monitor the capacity building strategy throughout the 3-month implementation program. Or some other risks might be, for example, social enterprises not being really ready to move to the growth stage. That's another risk that may arise. So this is, again, calls for a more attentive selection process. Or the same selection process is an issue The effective selection criteria is another issue that emerged in the More Than a Job subgrant mechanism. So there might be a risk in subgrantees not totally or poorly meeting the subgrant objectives. In that case, again, you need to make sure you have effective selection criteria when you're designing the subgrant mechanism, and to verify prior experiences of applicants actually dealing in such kind of support programs. And also to make sure they have social purpose in applicating for the subgrant mechanism. Again, for the Consume Palestine capacity building strategy, I recall a first risk of, for example, running up against complex bureaucratic procedures and legal compliancy requirements. So in that case, it's really advisable and suggested, as the pilot did, to closely collaborate with governmental actors. So what they did first place was to actually talk with governmental actors in the cooperative sector to understand like the framework where they could work. So this was important to understand firsthand what the issues are, and to make sure also they could count on the collaborative approach on the part of local governments. Again, they faced, for example, logistic difficulties in exporting the projects from Palestine elsewhere, because for obvious reasons, exporting from Palestine is very, very difficult. So in that case, let's say the solution was to secure strategic partnerships with international organizations that helped them overcome these exporting barriers, for example. Another risk was dealing with rural communities because often they're rooted in conservative social norms and traditions and practices. So targeted beneficiaries, let's say, so women cooperatives at the first place were not easily engageable, let's say, and also they needed to work with the families of the women working in the cooperatives to make, and this again, they drew from the collaboration of local governments who made sure that the local communities were reassured about this intervention and could convince them to participate in the project. This is as far as I could.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I told you I could continue, but there are many, and I think it's very important.
It's really interesting. I think you are the most expert in MedRiSSE 5 projects. You know every details of each project. I think Tamador also has another question or comment. Tamador.
Yeah, I was going to comment on the obstacle and challenges for Consume Palestine, but Camelia has said everything. She mentioned like the long bureaucratic procedures for registration for the seal and other certificates. There is a gap between the cooperative itself and let's say the ministries related to them, like the Labor Ministry and the CWOA. So a lot of let's say negotiation and communication have happened during these past years to facilitate the communication between the legal body and the cooperative itself. Yeah, so this is and of course let's say the occupation and the most important one and common one is and obstacles like movement obstacles for women and the export for products and the high cost also for exporting the materials, which affecting the price outside for the Palestinian product. Competition here between the Palestinian products and the women products and the Israeli cheap products, and of course high quality products that is affecting the purchasing of the Palestinian products. And that's why and that was let's say the one of the objective for the seal and the certification is to legitimize the Palestinian product and make it obvious for others. So yeah, this is the challenges in addition to what Camelia said.
Thank you, Tamadur. Dr. Imad, if you like to comment something on more than a job. We can't hear you, you are muted.
Yes, sorry, thank you, Samah. Actually, I want to ask Camila because she analyzed the 5 projects implemented and in our MedRiSSE projects. Camila, if we want to replicate the same projects, not the best practices ideas, the same projects, what is your recommendations, general recommendations regarding the implementation these 5 capitalized projects, as you analyze all these projects and success stories of these projects? If we want to repeat not success stories, if we want to repeat implementation of these 5 projects, what is your recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Imad. Well, allow me to stress the fact that in all the cases, we went vertically down the analysis on the assess good practices, because this was our aim. So many of the activities of the projects we didn't assess. So I'm not sure I'm the well-placed person to answer your question, because our analysis was extremely focused on the good practices, even though we paid a lot of attention on the challenges. So even though they were considered as good practices, of course, as I mentioned before, challenges occurred, risks may occur in future applications. So we wanted to make sure that these were highly identified and explained in the roadmaps.
Thank you. Any other questions, comment, or ideas? Okay, so Camila, thank you so much for your interesting work and the presentation of these 5 roadmaps. I think it is a very important tools for anyone who want to work on the ideas of social solidarity economy, or even in economic empowerment, or any approach to include population and to do anything regarding the commonality among the different projects. I think it is a good insight for academics, for practitioners, for anyone who is interested. Thank you for this. And I think this is the end of our webinar, and I will leave the floor for Fadia and Dr. Imad. Thank you.
Thank you, Samah. Again, on behalf of An-Najah University, we would like to thank all participants. Thank you, Camila, Georgia, for your presenting MedRiSSE and the roadmaps of 5 projects. Thanks, Dr. Samah and Fadia, for organizing these seminars. I would like to thank you all, and hope to see you again in the next seminar. I hope it will be after Eid al-Fitr. We will keep in touch all together. كل عام وانتم بخير جميعا.
And happy holidays for everybody.
Yes.
Be
And see you in the 7 seminars. I hope it will be in May.
يعطيكم العافية دكتور الجميع. يعطيكم العافية.
يعطيكم العافية.
شكرا لحضوركم.
Thank you and happy holidays for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. يعطيكم العافية جميعا.
Bye bye.
يعطيك العافية دكتورة ودكتور كلكم الجميع.
Thank you. كل عام وانتم بخير.